What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are out in Valley Stream, Long Island at Skateboard Marketing, and we are here with Munsey of Skateboard Marketing himself. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for coming by the office.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to come here.
That's it, man. We'll have some pizza and beer later. It'll be chill.
Absolutely.
Have a good time.
Now, anybody who's been to a concert in New York City has definitely run into this guy at some point working with Skateboard Marketing. So, for people who may not be in the industry, you want to give like a brief history of Skateboard Marketing, what you guys do in working with radio?
We are a radio promotion company, and what we focus on is most of the hard, aggressive music. So anything metal, hardcore, industrial, thrash, death metal, grindcore, anything that's heavy and has a real cutting edge is where we come in. Because when you deal with anything on the specialty side, whether it's alternative or dance or hip hop, it has to start somewhere. And when you start with an artist, it's artist development. Nobody knows who the band is. Mm-hmm. So apparently, you just can't go out and get radio airplay on something that's just brand new. And that's what we focus on and specialize in is, we start with a lot of small college stations, as well as 1 and 2 hour block specialty shows at commercial radio, and a lot of the syndicators and satellite radio. And, a few morning shows and, public and NPR stations, wherever metal lives and breathes anywhere in the country, there's an outlet for it, and that's where you have to start. Mm-hmm. And that's where you have to build your fan base. So every band has to develop and build from the ground level up, and that's where you specialize in. A lot of record companies, that have people in-house that do that, but... you can't bring in somebody who's 19, 20 years old, still in college, hand them a mailing list with contact info on and say, here, go to work. Because it's very relationship driven. So, it's good because they learn, but, that's why, you have to come into one of the radio promo companies, whether it's metal or alternative or dance or jazz or urban. It's all specialty. Excluding what you're going to hear at mainstream radio. Mm-hmm. So, for example, like Disturbed, we started with the first Disturbed record at commercial and college metal shows until Active took it over, and then the band blew up. Then at that point, it's like you don't really need what we do anymore because we already built that base, and now the band has their career, and here's where they are. But even then, they still don't want to alienate, the fan base. So you had a lot of metal fans that just loved Disturbed. They were a great band. So, their record company will always still service the record to all the metal stations, commercial and college, and through, a lot of the specialty outlets just because there's fans there. And you always want to accommodate the fans. That's what it's about. Yeah. Accommodating the fans and building the base.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, you cover all aspects of, the heavy genre. 1 minute you're working with Disturbed, and then Lacuna Coil, you work with Maiden, you've worked with Dio and Lemmy and so many. I'd imagine that, what you have to do has to sometimes be adjusted depending on, the style of band that you're working with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every band is different. I mean, it's, you go to a show, everybody's wearing different clothes.
Yeah.
Me and 2 other guys will have Converse, and he'll have Docs, and he'll have Pumas, So, there it is. Every band is different. The approach is different. The fan base is different. When you deal with, a Black Sabbath or a Dio or, a Motorhead or, Iron Maiden and Priest, that you're dealing with a very classic-driven fan base. Mm-hmm. So anybody who loves the classic the classic genre of metal, like Ozzy and Priest, then at that point, there's your niche for it. If you're going after a show that's a black metal show or a death metal show, well, then it's going to be different. Then you're going to go after them with Mayhem and Insomnium. Mm-hmm. You can go to them with a Sabbath or a Priest, but it's not really what they do. Doesn't mean they're not into it. They may actually really be big Judas Priest fans or a big Dio fan.
Yeah.
But it's just not what they do on their show. I mean, it's the same thing when you, a lot of people look at Eddie Trunk. Eddie Trunk is very classic driven. That's what he does. So oh, well, he can play Insomnium. Yeah, of course he can. But it's just not what he
It's
does.
just not going to.
It's just not what he does, and it's not about what his show is about. So you kind of have to know your station and your outlet.
Yeah.
You have to know the artist, and then you have to stop and look at where you can get the love for that artist and where. Get that, and once you have that, you build on it, and then you try and pan out outside of the norm of what you have. Then at that point, you can say, okay, this is what we got.
Yeah.
You know, and then it doesn't mean that today they not going to play this, but it doesn't mean on the next record they won't.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've had that on Ginger. You know, on the last record, there was a lot of people that didn't like Ginger. They were just like, dude, I'm not into it. Dude, I'm not into it. I'm like, you're going to see. This band is going to blow up. And when this band blows up, you're going to come back and say, oh, man, I didn't hear it.
They're eating crow for 1,000 years right now.
No, and listen, that's fine. They were a sleeper. Some people catch on to bands late. I catch on to bands late all the time. And one of my favorite bands is Queensryche.
Yep.
And they were a sleeper band for me. I didn't dig them at first. But after like a month or so, I was like, I really started getting into them. And then I became a huge fan.
Yeah.
And, you know, now I love the guys to death.
Yeah.
So, you know, the same thing happened, like I said, with Ginger. They, you know, all of a sudden, you know, people saw the video for Pisces. And that's what really did it, was Pisces, that one track.
Yep.
And that video, it just blew the band up into the mainstream of of every metal fan, you know, and everything we had from Sirius XM to Music Choice to WSOU to like KISW in Seattle and JJO in Madison. I mean, a lot of big stations just were on this band beforehand. But then everybody caught on at that point, which is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Because now we have something that's even better.
Yeah. I mean, the term heavy is so subjective, too. You talk to, like, somebody, they would think, oh, it's the music you listen to heavy, like Seven Dust or something like that. And then, you know, and then to, like, some Morbid Angel fans, a band like Killswitch Engage is almost like Cher to them or something like that.
Well, so, you know, it's eclectic.
Yeah.
You know, heavy is just such a broad term, and it's vastly eclectic. Because if you look at it, you know, I've gotten some calls on records where they're saying, yeah, you know, I'm sure you're going to remember this band, Iron Butterfly. And I'm like, that sounds really familiar. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That old 60s acid rock band. Because it was called acid rock back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. I was 2 years old. But, yeah, I know who they are. You know, Slayer covered Inagata Devita. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think that's what probably kind of hitched the name of them to who they were, because I remember the Slayer cover. But in terms of, you know, 2019, no, because it's really kind of not what most stations do. Now, in other cases, you know, you have like Spinal Tap. You know, we're doing the the single from Derek Smalls, Give Me Some More Money. That's an old record. It came out, you know, early last year. And here it is. It's top 20 on the charts again because of the notoriety of who Spinal Tap was, who Derek Smalls is, and what it's all about. And if you look at it, it pans the entire spectrum. You know, the same way Kiss pans the entire spectrum with black metal shows because of the whole, you know, the stage theatrics. Black metal, I love black metal. But I noticed that elitists won't like anything that's not black metal except Kiss.
Well, because they got the corpse paint.
Yeah,
I guess you
know,
could say.
and I get it, and I totally get it. They're like, they won't like anything. Oh no, you know what? There wasn't a 4 count on this, and then it doesn't go into this, so it's not true black metal. I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. Dude. You know, that's fine. I get it, but I'm like, but you'll listen to, you know, 16 Christine from Kiss. You'll listen to music from The Elder in Detroit Rock City, and it's cool. They're like, yeah, but it's Kiss.
Yeah, that's all you need to say.
Yeah,
Kiss is a genre within itself.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, it's a genre in itself. So I get it. You know, it's so, you know, that's kind of how you have to view it. But you have to know your station.
Yeah.
Your stations. You have to know the program. You have to know what they're into, and you have to know how to pick and choose on what to work them on.
Yeah. And you've worked in the world of heavy metal for so long now, and so many different genres have come. The music industry has changed so much. I was curious at how much you've changed and how you approach what you do as the music.
I don't change.
You don't?
I refuse to change. I get up, I take a shower, put my hair in a ponytail, put on sneakers and jeans and a shirt, and I go to work.
There you go.
I smoke cigarettes at my desk. I drink 8 cups of coffee a day. I go to shows at night when the artist is in town. We set up some interviews. We do some stuff. We some ticket giveaways. And I'm doing the same thing I've done when I was 21 years old now, and I'm 53. So
really,
I refuse to change.
That's incredible. And you would think that because the music industry changes so much that the artist has to change and that...
Well, the style of how you approach a record and work a record, that's changed dramatically, okay? When I was a label guy at Polygram Records in 1989, we had a huge sales base. Now, SoundScan was kind of not really around. They were, but they weren't. But it was still in its infancy stages. And when we got an ad at radio, for argument's sake, let's say like, we'll use Cinderella, the Heartbreak Station record. When we got the full-time ad at MTV, okay, we did, I think, 750,000 copies in like 2 weeks. We shipped 750,000, and that's where it was at. And then the tour was kicking in, but those were the kind of numbers that we sold. So when I left the company, it was at 1.5 million. I don't know what it's at now. But, you got an ad at, let's say, WMMR in Philadelphia, or, let's say BCN in Boston at the time. You do 3, 4, 5,000 units SoundScan in some cases. If it was a brand new band, a new developing artist, all right, you wouldn't do those big numbers, but you do decent numbers. And at the end of the campaign, if you sold 100,000, they would say, it's a wash. Let's drop the band. Mm-hmm. Now, if you sell 100,000, everybody's happy. But you realize that nobody's moving as much physical product anymore. A lot of it's digital, mm-hmm. So it's coming from either Apple Music on iTunes and other digital outlets. Then you have your streaming outlets, Apple Music and Spotify. And those streaming numbers are mixed into SoundScan numbers now. Mm-hmm. And your physical, usually bands sell a lot of physical while they're out on the road.
Yeah.
Which is great, because now fans are there. They're like, I've only streamed 3 tracks. I saw the set. They're awesome. And you do a combo deal. A disc and a t-shirt, $20, $25. In some cases, the band can't do combo deals because their merch has to match the headliner. Now, that's fine, too. That's cool. I mean, that's just how it is. So, when you look at your numbers, they're a lot smaller, but you still have to build that base. Mm-hmm. And if you can't have decent streaming numbers, and you don't have the airplay to back that up, you see very small physical sales. And in some cases, we have huge numbers at radio and huge streaming numbers. And then we look at SoundScan for physical, and it's minuscule. Other cases, we have like no streaming numbers and very little airplay, and we see huge SoundScan numbers. Mm-hmm. So, there's no science to it. And there's no way to break it down and say, well, Korn did this, so we're going to do that.
Yeah. It's more of an art than a science.
It's an art than a science. Well, Korn can do that because it's Korn.
Yeah.
They've been around for 25 years. Yeah. So can Machine Head, and so can Killswitch and Slipknot. They've established artists. They can do that.
Yeah.
We, a new developing band, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Like Wind Rose is an example of how it does.
Dwarf metal.
Yeah, but dude, 70 million streams on the video, on 2 videos.
That's impressive.
Quite impressive if you stop and you look at all because of a video game. 70 million streams. Now, there's a Venom cover on the record, which is cool, okay? But if you look at 70 million streams plus Spotify and Apple Music numbers, I'm just kind of really want to see what first week SoundScan is going to look like, because it's going to be big.
Yeah.
Well, in today's sense, it'll be big.
Yeah, video games have been a real great marketing tool for a lot of people getting into music. I mean,
Yeah.
so many people discover their favorite bands through Guitar Hero. People have discovered music through like racing games and sports games. So it seems like video games have always been also like the great tool to get artist names out there and whatnot.
Yeah, and I mean, my favorite video game of all, on my PS2, I love Dark Alliance.
Okay.
I was like a mad Dark Alliance. I was addicted to it because it took you like a month to finish the game. And then once you finished it, you were able to unlock it and import another character and then start the game all over again with new characters and different stuff.
Yeah.
And the music was always way cool, but dude, when you're walking through like a sewer system with a sword and you're like, you're cutting up snakes, I want to hear Mouth for War by Pantera.
There you
go.
go.
I want to hear like something fast and heavy. I want to hear thrash.
Yeah.
That was my only qualm with Dark Alliance, that they was like, oh man, you guys got to do something about your music.
Well, look at Burnout, the racing game series.
Yeah.
That's how I discovered City of Evil right there.
Yeah.
So they put on Beast in the Harlot, and you're speeding along, running into semi trucks filled with gasoline, blowing up everything. You got the perfect soundtrack right there.
Oh, dude, it was so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. And then when I moved into the new place, there was nothing here. I got the CO, and the place was done. There was carpets and paint on the wall. The only thing on my wall was a 55-inch flat screen TV. So the building inspector walks in, he goes, "Can't have any furniture." And I'm like, "It's not furniture, it's my TV." I said, "Nothing comes in this house until the TV's on the wall." And he laughed. He signed off on it, he went home, And dude, instead of my old apartment on my little shimsy TV that like the Trinitron that weighed like 350 pounds, it took 2 guys to get it up the stairs, all right? I started playing all my video games on a 55-inch flat screen with surround sound. It was awesome.
Who would have thought that in the early days of Pong you would have games looking like that?
Who knew?
Yeah.
I didn't know. So, but it's cool. But yeah, the whole aspect of artist development and promotion, it's all you have to develop every band separate and every band individually. Each band has their own sound, their own feel, their own individuality. So in common sense, oh well, if they like this, they'll like that, but it's never the case.
Yeah, and
ever.
Yeah, I mean, it seems, and I think that's also a good thing because you approach each band like with just as much effort and just as much. I guess there's like equilibrium throughout every artist that you work with. Yeah. Now, one question I really have for you is when you are working with an artist, they first approach you and you help them develop and grow, and maybe a bit of a cliche question here, but how does it feel when you work with an artist, they're up and coming, like Ginger, for example, and you see, now Ginger's tour, like their North American tour, almost the entirety of it is sold out. When you see how an artist grows, how does that change how you kind of look at yourself in a way and what you do?
No. I kind of look at it and say that's what's supposed to happen.
Okay.
Well, more or less, yeah. I mean, somebody hires you on a record, and you go out and you pull a top 10 record on the charts. You look at Metal Contraband, which is a spins-based chart, and it's predominantly commercial, community and public stations, syndicators, and satellite. It's stations with stick that really matter. And the college stations that report to that panel are all big stations. WREK in Atlanta, they're 40,000 watts.
Yeah.
WSOU in South Orange, they're all big stations. So a station's got stick to have a place on the chart because the airplay is real, the market cume is real. So when we look at that and say, okay, we got something, and then the band blows up, that just means that that's what's supposed to happen.
Dude.
Now, I mean, the best thing that can totally happen is I get another plaque for the wall. But unfortunately, nothing really goes gold or platinum anymore. Very few things, So, I mean, I'm kind of hoping Rammstein does.
There you go.
Which it will. I'm pretty sure it's gold already, but I'm going to wait for it to go platinum. And then, I'm going to ask for a plaque. So that'll be like the one every 2 years that oh man, I got something that went platinum. fuck, dude, I need a plaque.
Yeah,
You know?
there you go. And the final question I want to ask you is, because working with so many artists on all different levels, do you have like words of wisdom for people who want to like, you know, try to get their band out there more, or even just work in the industry in general? There's plenty of people who want to work in the industry, whether it's working in press, working in radio, promotion, or even just getting their band out there. What's like some of the best words of advice you can give people?
You got to start when you're young. I started when I was young. I was 17, 18. And if you want to be a writer, write for your school newspaper. You know, if your high school doesn't have a school newspaper, well, when you go to college, go down to the campus newspaper and get a gig. You know, you want to learn broadcasting, and or television, go down to the campus radio station and apply for an air shift. You may not get an air shift right away if, you know, you're brand new. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to have to learn a little bit. But one of the key things that you'll learn in radio is that production has no age requirement. You know, in programming, you know, it's very youth-driven, or unless you're a mainstay in the market. Yeah. You know, you're a guy like Howard Stern or something. You know, you're a mainstay, and it's cool. You know, you look at like the old classic rock guys from way back in the day, like the Scott Muni's and the Pat St. John's. You know, they were mainstays, but it's not. If you're looking to at least get in with active or like commercial alternative, you know, at modern rock, you start in college. You know, and you start when you're young, and while you're 18 and 19, you have to get an internship. Mm-hmm. So you might want to go to the local radio station, try and get an internship while you're doing college radio. You're there to learn it. So the wattage of the station doesn't matter. I mean, my second college station, we were about 30 watts, and we thought we ruled, but we were 30 watts. So nobody really heard us. My first college station was WCWP, and we had a stick in it. We had a lot of stick, and we had a dish outside so we could do remotes and live broadcasts. So, and we had a decent amount of wattage, and we reached Southern Connecticut. So, you know, the voice was there, and the cume was there. You know, for writers, once you get in, and you're there, you might want to try going down to, you know, hell, go to the Daily News, go to the New York Post, you know, go to the Times, you know, go to Revolver or, you know, Decibel Magazine or Rolling Stone. Try and get an internship. You know, if that's what you want to do, you want to be a writer, you write for your school newspaper and you intern. Yeah. Somewhere. You're 19 years old. You're not going to get a job right away. It's about where your chops are and how you refine your skills. So you're going to finish school at 23 years old and you have no experience. No one's going to hire you. Mm-hmm. If you interned a couple of places and you were a writer, everybody knows you. Now, publicists know you because they were calling you to do pieces and cover a show. If you were in radio, I'm calling you to play my records, you know, and labels are calling you. Plus, you're now at shows and you met people at the label, you met publicists, and you met people in digital. So people know who you are. It's all about visibility. Yeah, you like I see you every time I'm at a show. I'm 9 times out of 10 I'm running into. Yeah, you. Well, A, we have to be there, but B, I want to be there because it's too much fun. Yeah, you have to be, like, you can't just work behind your computer. No, you can't. You have to go out to shows. That's how you meet publicists and label. You have to be out. You have to be seen. You have to be visible. You know, when I get resumes from people that are 35, 40 years old, it doesn't mean they can't do the job. A lot of them are very well competent, but they don't know anything about the job. Yeah. And even though you're like not getting paid and it's an internship, you have to have the basic fundamental ABC. And you get that from broadcasting and journalism in college. Mm-hmm. Or let's say you didn't really go to college, but you were 19 and, you know, you interned at one of the local radio stations. That's great. Okay? You know, eventually you'll find the job, but you really have to go to college and that's what you have to focus on. And after 3 or 4 years, a small percentage of them usually move on and get sizable gigs. Yeah. And we've seen that happen here. Yeah. We've seen Sammy Chichester from Revolver. You know, she worked here, 9 years ago. Oh, yeah. I got to bring that up to her. Yeah, Sammy worked here 9 years ago. And I offered her a gig and she said, I want to be a writer. I said, follow your heart. Because she was a journalism major. That's what she wanted. Yep. And she did great at it because she was cut out for it. Yeah. Other people we had in here, they were great writers, but they get behind the phone and they were a snail.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm like,
hang up the phone.
Guy, what's up? Well, I wanted to ask you something. Well, really? Really? With no enthusiasm? I'm like, all right, dude, put the bong down. You know? Put the bong down and
Probably wanted to work the next Baron.
Yeah,
Sleep record.
let's focus on this. All right. Yeah, the blue record, it's old, but it's good.
There you go. And I also think that it's fair to say that everybody you see in this industry, whether they are a writer, a publicist, they work in radio, regardless of what they do, even if they're a roadie, they're all in this because they love the genre of music. That's I think the most important rule.
We're not here because, we're here because this is our gig. This is what we like to do. This is what we love to do, and it's our livelihood. It's our living. From the outside looking in, it looks great. But once people come from the outside to the inside, and now they're looking out like how it really is.
It ain't all fun and games.
It's not all fun and games, and the amount of work and dedication it takes, and sometimes for the budgets are so small. In some cases you just, we can't take it, there's no budget. But in other cases, there's something that has to get done for a client, and you got to get it done, and there's not a budget. You just do it because you love the band.
Yeah.
And in some cases, yeah, but in a lot of cases, no. So then they realize the amount of work you have and the dedication it has, and within a month you can see them crash and burn and fizzle out fast.
Yeah.
That's when you know they're not right for the gig.
Yeah, you got to keep at it.
You just have to stay at it for years, and some people just don't have the stamina to do it.
Yeah, and then you don't belong here.
No, it's not that you don't belong. It's cool. If you're looking for the 9 to 5 thing, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
If you want 9 to 5, then you got to put on a suit and go to work on Wall Street.
Yeah. There you go. This is a 24/7 job.
Yeah, it's 24/7. It just doesn't stop.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. It's always great.
Thanks for making the trek out to Long Island.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure coming out here. Is there just anything with Skateboard Marketing or Metal Contraband or anything you work with that you would like to promote? Any records coming out you want to shout out?
I think I did already. Throughout the interview, I was giving shout outs to all my stuff.
Yeah.
Play my records a lot.
There you go. You'll probably hear it on the radio one way or another. But thank you so much, man.
You got it, Alex. Thanks for coming out, dude. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. We should co-host the show together one day.
Yeah, let's co-host the show one day.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? NAMM Show 2020, Hall of Heavy Metal History. We will co-host an interview together outside in the lobby in the media area.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. We'll do it. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. We just don't know who it's going to be with, but once we know, we'll tell you. It'll be cool.
There you go. Everybody, Munsey of Skateboard Marketing. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.
Don't forget my drink tickets.